Y'all know I try to bring y'all some type of tool that'll help you with the strat. This one it's in my pinned tweet, but I noticed that he updated it. So I kind of wanted to bring it to the community's attention again. Just because if you use Thinkorswim, this is a great resource for a bunch of scripts and studies, and it also will kind of teach you how to, I guess, configure the charts the way you want them, because a lot of them can be changed to your own type of specifications or whatever. It's Pellensax is his name on Twitter, at Pellensax. I'm going to link it in the video when I do that. I already posted it in the study time chat, so you can, if you want to click on it now and look at it. But basically, it gives you the strat codes, and then there's one here, like for instance, the time frame continuity. It gives you a tutorial on how you can configure it and use it. And so these, like he updated it so that it's a little bit more, I guess, user friendly. Because when I first came across it, it was really just like a list of scripts. But he also included videos here on how to put them on and how to like load symbols. And then there's also like watch lists that he has in here. Like, let me go down a little bit. There's a tutorial for the main studies, but overlays, you see that here. He shows you really how to do it, but this is the watch list columns. So he has a code that will give you columns for your watch list that you can do 5, 15, 30-minute day, whatever, and it'll let you know the time frame continuity or the strat signal. So you can put these in your watch list columns and see what it's doing in strat terms. And then combine this with IDR and that IDR script, then shoot, this is a great tool. So also you can combine this with Jamal's scanner that he posted, and say from his scanner you make a watch list, you put it in your watch list, and then you have it here, and then it can tell you, it can give you the strat signals. So just more tools to kind of help you on your journey, things to make it easier for you to trade. This is the time frame continuity study with background and everything. So it kind of lets you know, hey, we're in red time frame continuity or we're in green time frame continuity. So these weren't there when I first came across this. So I had to let y'all know that he's like updated this with a bunch of things. So I mean, this could really take you, like, you can go through all these all day, kind of, sort of, just to kind of look at them and see what works for you. And he's included, kind of what he's updated here. So yeah, this is a great resource that I think y'all should utilize if you use Thinkorswim to chart, or even if you just use it to scan, because y'all know I that's what I use it for. I don't really chart on there, but I know plenty of people who do, and I admire y'all. But yeah, these are great scans. It's a great entire resource. We got a hot mic. Hold on. Okay. All right, so let's get into our regular stuff really quickly, and then Kiki is going to tell us some stuff, and then we got OB in the house to show us some things. So all right, so looking at everything on the month, you kind of gonna see a lot of this. It's a lot of it looks similar, where a lot of things have triggered the outside mouth. Okay, let me pause one more time, y'all, because of the kids. Oh. Okay, sorry. Okay, so you have seen that a lot of things have triggered the outside month by taking out last month's high and coming back in 50%. The only thing that hasn't done it here has been Russell, but it's about to trigger the 2 up, 2 down on the month. And then the VIX, even though it's come back in, it's still close to triggering the outside month again, and it can finish. It did trigger, but it came back in with that whole Powell and all that volatility that we had. So you know, it still could go, especially if everything else finishes the outside month. A lot of things also there are a ton of outside weeks. So a lot of them look like this. You got a lot of shooters on the week. For these in particular, like the Dow, the Nasdaq, the way these ended so close to how, you know, the bottom of the candle, I would expect that if they break below, that we're going to see more downside. You know, it'll be a 3-2 to show that the bears are still in control. So yeah, I'm kind of expecting that on the downside, that we're going to continue to move down. Now we might see a little bit of correction because we do have some exhaustion risk. It's not a broadening formation drawn on the Nasdaq, but you can see that right here we're kind of at the bottom of one. So we might see a little bit of correction before we continue down, but I would expect for us to do a 3-2 on the week, just how this is looking. And then on the day, the Dow is still slightly above its 200. Like it really bounced there, may have found some support, so to have to see how that kind of goes, but everything else is under. So you know what we always say about things being under the 200. The Nasdaq, the Russell are both under all of their EMAs actually. So Nasdaq has a little gap to fill here, 10996. So yeah, definitely looking to see more continued downside. Lawrence and I were talking about that on the webinar this morning, that, you know, a lot of people are expecting a Santa Claus rally, and it's possible that we had it already. You know, it's not to say we couldn't still, you know, have a small one after we've moved down so much, but you know, it's possible that this is the rally that everybody was expecting. So moving on to our others. So Apple is about to trigger the 212 on the monthly down. So we know, you know, this is a pretty solid support. 140 was a good support that it was holding for a long time. And then we know that this next support here is 133. But if it continues, you know, our next target is going to be 130. And just looking at it, I mean, look at the shoulder, head, shoulder. It's looking like it's much more downside there. Microsoft close to triggering the outside month. The Qs have triggered the outside month and SPY. And then on the week, it's not an actionable signal on Apple, but there is on SPY. If SPY does a 3-2 down, not actionable signal, but combo. If SPY could do a 3-2 down. And then Microsoft has a rev strat on the week, possible rev strat, let me say. If it does this 1-2 up, 2 down, and takes out these two, then, you know, that's going to continue to keep everything else down. So if Apple continues, I mean, again, this is a strong support, so it could definitely decide to, you know, correct some from here. But if it does continue and Microsoft does this rev strat, we can expect that SPY and the Qs are going to die. And then, of course, in relation to their 200 on the daily, you see Microsoft kissed it, and that it was exhausted. That was all it gave. Apple could barely make it, not to the SMA, but it did make it to the 200. But then it's come back down. We have taken these people out, so when you look at this on the daily, I can definitely see a correction back up to this 8 at least, because we have TTO'd these folks over here. So a correction to the 8, and maybe we will H on the day. Let's definitely see that happening. But yeah, it closed under all EMAs. So did Microsoft. So did the Qs. And the Qs still have a gap to fill here. at 268. Microsoft has this gap at 228. I mean, that's kind of far. We do have a couple of lines of support before we get there. 242 is support, around 240, 237 before we get there. But those are targets, and then of course that would help it outside month. And if that goes, then the Qs are definitely going to go. Apple already filled this little gap it has over here, so it's one thing to keep in mind. Is just watching this, because this has filled this gap, and so has SPY. SPY has filled this gap. But remember before, where everything else was falling, and then Microsoft was exhausted, and it came back up, and it kind of helped the market go. Well, it's exhausted to the top now, so if this is the only thing that's holding it up, then good night. So let us look at SPY on a little bit bigger time frame, like we like to do on the the bigger screen, let me say, on the daily, so we can kind of see where we are zoomed all the way out. So remember, the inverse head and shoulders was negated under 390. We knew that 390 was a pretty solid support here, and it finally broke through, and it finally filled this gap. Now what's interesting is that Webull has a different gap, and on Webull the gap is not quite filled. I'm not sure if that's potato. It's just something I've noticed recently that I'm going to watch. But one thing I pointed out in the class this morning that I also wanted to show y'all is that we gapped down here and we filled this gap, but look at this area of price right here. This is an area where we've also gapped down before, okay, and it's an area that we kind of have moved fast through, so I can definitely see us chopping around here, maybe ironing this area out. Maybe not as long as how we did here, but just because of the gap we just created and where we are, I can definitely see that, us ironing this area out before we make the next move, either lower or higher. And also, this is just a couple of ways that this could play out. This is a sharp move here, so we could correct some to come fill this gap up, or come back to this 8 and maybe make a bear flag and then come down. Y'all see I'm mostly bearish, and the reason I'm mostly bearish is why I told y'all we're back under the 200 and all the EMAs. So if I think of any correction, I think that we would come up to the EMAs and then just continue to drop. So this would make kind of like an H pattern. Y'all hear us talk about that H a lot, but because we've had 1, 2, 3, 4 straight days, we're oversold, we're due for some correction, and we're at exhaustion. So that's the weekly one. We just broke through this weekly broadening formation, but yeah, I can see us coming back up and then continuing down. So that's what I see for SPY. This little gap right here, I wouldn't even really count. But yeah, if we have any upside, I would expect it to be smacked down at this 200 again. Because even though we found strength when we came up before, and even found more strength, it still ultimately got smacked down. So I would need to see this hold above the 200 for probably this same amount of time, and then continue before I would completely turn bullish. Otherwise, I'm like mostly staying bearish, except for this run was like mostly a kind of like a mixed run. That was when you are bullish, because you've hit exhaustion, you take that bull run, but then you wait for the next time to short, because ultimately on the daily we're making higher lows, lower highs, sorry, I always tongue twist that up, but we're making lower highs. We can't break out of that downtrend, which is the 200. So moving on, gonna look at IWM small caps. Take these off real quick, kind of see where that's at. It's also about to trigger to the downside under the EMAs on the monthly, so if it can get under and stay under where it is now, it can see the next solid support is 163-ish. And that's a pretty solid support, as you can see there. So small caps also may be dying. It's no actionable signal, well, no signal, strat combo on the week. Do have a shooter here, but it's not a, it's a 2-2 continuations. I don't really recommend those. The reason I don't really recommend those is because to me, you've kind of missed the entry and missed the move. So I would wait for corrective activity before getting in. If it was on this weekly time frame, I would want like an inside week and then continue. But if you look at it on the weekly, again, it's making lower highs. And even though it bottomed out here, it didn't have enough strength to continue. So this is actually looking like it's about to H. You'll see the H pattern like that. So it's just corrective activity before it continues the trend. So that's IWM. Now the thing of the month and the week is XLE, y'all. If y'all look at your favorite energy stock right now, it has probably triggered the monthly to the downside, with plenty of room to go, and we do have a little bit of support here. But on the weekly, almost all of them should have shooters on the week and be inside weeks. Okay, so Oxy. Oh no, that's a 2 down. But on the month, Oxy has actually already hit its target, so I wouldn't mess with Oxy, honestly. But ZOM is a good one. Or even XLE, because a lot of times you don't have to do the individual tickers. You can play the ETFs. And don't forget that, hold on, I think we got a hot mic again. Don't forget that with these ETFs, or with XLE and IWM, you can play those like you can play SPY. So I don't always recommend playing 0 days, but they have plenty of expirations for you to choose from. So again, yeah, your favorite energy stock probably has a shooter on the week. So XLE is a good one. Also, the fact that it is, even though it closed above this 20, if it breaks below it, that gives you extra confirmation there. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, how much of these have gaps on the day? Yeah. So we do have gaps that we're trying to target. We thought that they were going to fill them, and it's just been taking a while. But you can kind of see it's basically topped out. It's not really a solid head and shoulders pattern. It's kind of there, but for the most part, this big old, you can see it topped out. Yeah. So keep XLE and energy on your watch list to see. We also closed under the 8 and the 20, so we can see if it comes down and tries to fill this gap. This is probably the 200 on this daily is a solid support, just like how we talk about how this resistance is also a solid support. So it may not come down to fill this gap, but you can at least target that. And then, of course, we have been watching chips for the longest. XOXL is really close to triggering the 50% rule on the month. And I just want to point out that there is a gap on the day that it may fill right here. So it looks like it has almost a triple top right there. Boom, boom, boom. We're exhausted this TTO right here, and we came down. And so, yeah, 985 is the gap fill here. Keeping in mind, if y'all see right here where we gapped down the first time, we gapped up, but the way it's filled this gap is kind of ugly. So you kind of see we might actually chop it in this area some, but it should come down to here, at least come down, fill this gap, and then it may. But actually where we're at, we might correct up a little first after these few days. Correct up, come down, fill this gap, and then iron out this area right here before it decides wherever it wants to move. Okay, so that's the regular stuff. Now I want to point out, before I get to these other ones, this 50% on the month list is long. I'm not going to go through all of these. I posted them in the study time chat, but a lot of stocks have triggered the monthly 50% rule to the downside. So keeping in mind that's also sometimes where people buy in. So, keeping that in mind for the Santa rally that could possibly happen. But as of now, the bearish pressure is strong. All of these have full time frame continuity to the downside, so I would expect more downside. So McDonald's, we have been watching for weeks. It is sitting at the trigger. So since we have been watching it for weeks and it's about to trigger, I'm putting it on y'all radar. It's about to trigger. It may not give us this entire move down, but we would love to catch some of this. I mean, nice move. We got a 3 on the week. And oh, you guys, I just completely forgot. We got a new 2-week bar starting. So this could 3 too. So real quick, let me just run back through these, y'all. Let's just look at these real quick on the 2-week and see what they're doing. Most of them should have outside week. Yep. Let's look at these really quickly. So you got 3 2s. And then for Microsoft, we got that rev strat on the week, and then you got a possible 2 up, 2 down on the 2-week. So IWM, there's no actual signal. XLE, SOXL, you got a possible 3 2. Alright, so now we're back to McDonald's. So yeah, new 2 weeks starting. So keep that in mind as well. But I really do like McDonald's because it looks like it's finally ready to come down. We have been exhausted. We've tried to stay up and no. So we have a gap to fill. It's a small gap here, but there is a gap there. And then it may also want to iron out this area. But yeah, McDonald's is about to trigger to the monthly to the downside. So keeping that on your watch. And then also XLC is another one, a sector that, the communication sector that has triggered the monthly to the downside. I noticed also that Verizon was about to trigger. So watch communications. Verizon is a pretty slow mover, but if you wanted to swing something, this is a good one to swing with a couple weeks out, maybe down to this 3460 target. And then Nvidia, I wanted to point out, it was the 2 week? No, it was, the 2 week too. We could 2 up, 2 down, but I believe it was the weekly. Yes, we have a shooter on the weekly for a possible 2 up, 2 down. Now, we have some support here, but the monthly 50% is at 150. Y'all know Nvidia can move, so even though we only have 2 weeks of month left, yeah, roughly 2 weeks of month left, it can still, decide to come down. Now, also, we haven't been able to make higher highs, and you see it rejected here. So basically, looking to see if Nvidia does an H and does that outside, makes an outside month. You see it's rejected the 200 pretty hard, came down, and then now we're sitting around these EMAs on the day. Now the only thing is, this is kind of a rough area, so it's one to keep on watch to see if it can break out of this area. But we do have a shoulder ahead, and then we can make a shoulder over here before dropping. But we also have a gap here in the day to target. Of course, Nvidia is kind of just also keeping in mind chips. So chips and energy is kind of what we want to keep our eyes on for the rest of this month. And then UPS is also about to trigger the outside month. And on the week, it has an absolutely beautiful shooter. What I really like about this is that the shooter also closed right at the 8. So what we're looking for is if it can break below, then it's breaking below these EMAs, and that bearish pressure is still there. So I would look for this to come down, and again, looking for an H. Of course, y'all, these are on weekly time frames, so it's not something that may not happen right away, but it may take some time. So if I'm looking at it on a week, you may need to give it that week to or a couple of weeks for it to play out. But you see UPS, it ironed out this area here where it gapped up. So it's kind of ironed it out, and then really looking to see it continue to drop because it cannot break above this 200. Still making lower highs. So that's all I have for right now. Okay, got it now.
Okay, so I called out BNY in the premium channel, I believe last week, and I've been watching it since last week. So when I saw that it had an inside week, I was like, okay, it might be ready to actually fall. So I waited all week until Thursday, and I was waiting to see if it could break 78 and hold. So on the Wednesday, it was kind of trading a little bit sideways, so I didn't really jump in yet. But once I saw what was happening with the market and everything like that, I knew Wednesday was the time to get in. And once I saw that it was holding under, I got in here at market open, which I don't recommend always, but I just jumped in. So that also triggered that 78 level also triggered the 212 down. So once it broke, I was like, okay, this is good. And since I'm a day trader, I stayed in it all day until probably like around right here. And when it started to kind of retest the 9 EMA, that's when I got out. But this whole play from the open all the way down here was over 600% profit. And as you can see, going into the following day, continue to fall to the next price target. And that ended up running, had I held my contracts, over 1,400%. So I was like kind of sick a little bit over it, but I'm a day trader, so. But also too, what I mainly look forward to as well on a 4-hour is this cross right here as well. Once I also saw this cross and price action going underneath the 9 EMA, I was like, okay, this is doing what I needed to do, and I pretty much just held it all the way down to here. And this particular stock kind of moves kind of slow. Moves about like $2 a day maybe, but it has a little bit more room to the downside, probably like another $1 or so, depending on the market. But yeah, that's one of the best plays. Actually, the whole watch list from the premium channel, it's actually a hit. Like every stock hit. But this one was a cheapie. If you didn't want to play anything like Tesla or Netflix or anything like that, the contracts I had were like $17. So I just loaded up on a whole bunch, and had I held everything, it would have been like $6,000 in profit. So, but yeah, I just wanted to trade a little trade recap. That was the only trade of the week for me. I didn't really trade much, being that Powell was speaking and everything like that. So, yeah, that's all I have to share. That was my only play of the week out of the watch list that I posted.
Could you look at PG? Because Jamal said he liked this chart, PMG on the weekly. Ooh, and
PG.
TTO. Yep. Fresh TTO.
Oh,
Oh, I do like that. Y'all take notes.
him giving up the soul suffering. Let me stop. Let's see on the day. Okay, 2 2. I like it. It has a lot of room to fall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it really does. It's above the 200 though, right? That was your 200, right?
Right, the green is the 200. Yeah, this is the 200. You got the MACD cross though, so that's
Ah,
good.
yes.
It's not lining up yet.
It's definitely lining up. That definitely is that the TTM squeeze at the. Oh no, that's the mapping.
No, it's the
Okay.
MACD.
Yeah, I'm not used to TOS charts. I'll be trying to. That's why I'm glad you share your screens. They're getting both now. But yeah,
Oh, actually, I want to point out too. To go back real quick. Um, actually went 3 on the month already.
oh wow, yeah, that was a great day.
Yes, it's actually traded. I think that day, I think it traded like the 50%, probably like around here somewhere, and then just continued down. So, if anyone wants to continue to play it, I would give it more time though. So,
Yeah, that looks good.
okay.
But yeah, I do like PG. I needed to break that 200 on a day, but I do like that weekly PMG possibly. Enough force, it could definitely fly through.
Got the cross on the flower as well. I will play it down to the 200 because
Mm-hmm.
normally when the cross happens, it normally bounces at the 200 to retest and go back up or retest and continue down.
And that
But
8
I
is
like
about
it.
to cross. Well, yeah, I think that's your 9. Your 9 is about to cross the 21 too up there.
Yeah, I use the 9 and the 20.
Yeah, that looks good, Jamal.
Okay. So, I mean, do anyone have a question for me? I know Kiki has some questions, I believe, but do you guys just run through a chart or just figure out how I kind of do stuff? I don't know.
Yeah, kind of how you. I love how you just started with like a completely blank chart. So like you know how you would post in there, you would be like, well, Nasdaq is going to struggle trying to get over this 11,288 level. For some reason, I don't know why that number stuck in my head, but it did. But how and why would you say it's hard for it to break that level?
Okay. Well, I remember a few weeks ago I posted something, a link to YouTube that I asked everyone to watch. You know, with that magic trick that the guy kept doing with the numbers.
Yes,
I know you watched it. I'm not sure if everyone else watched it,
yeah, I remember that video. Yeah.
but
I watched
it's
it.
kind of the same scenario. You watched it too? Okay. All
Yeah.
right. So for me, um, I just look at the chart. Everything is just an illusion. It has a destination, and everything else in between is just illusion. It's just emotions, right? So, for example, I'm on the Nasdaq right now, and I could see the downtrend starting for a reason. And like I always stated, I'm a supply and demand trader, and I just trade from zone to zone. Um, is everyone still hearing me?
Yep, we can hear you. We just
Okay.
muted,
Okay.
so because I know I'd be having background noise with my kids, so
Okay.
I'm just on mute.
Okay, just sounded dead quiet. Okay, all right. So for example, I'm on a quarterly chart right now. So once we started a downtrend, which is from here, This is just a supply zone that started the whole thing, right? My eyes are automatically pulled to here, and that's just it, right? That's where, for me, that's where they want to go. So that's why I posted that thing on YouTube when the guy was saying, with all those different numbers, it still adds up to 75. With all of what's going to happen in here, eventually we're going to get down here. That's just it, right? So then I start narrowing my chart down, like, how do we get here? So because this is all going to be taken out, all of this right here, right? Oh, come on. All this is right here to me is just dead, okay? However, this is on the quality chart, so it's going to take a while, right? So I could go down. Okay, I don't want to skip much steps, so let's go to a monthly, right? So remember, I said all of this to me is basically just targets on the way down. They're dead. However, I gotta take note of stuff that's in the way. For example, here, this is demand. This is demand. This is somewhat of a demand. There's a reason why it's not really a full demand, and that's just what you see from the monthly chart, right? I could clear those off. So again, we're working from top to bottom, because if supply is in control, it's going to hunt for demand. That's just basically how supply and demand works. And we're looking for untapped demand, meaning that we're looking for where price haven't come back to, right? So as you can see, it's coming back to all of these and filling, right? Let me get my pen here. So as you can see, these weren't tapped in, so on the way up, right? So we tapped into this, so this is eliminated. So your next target automatically will be here, right? Which is this, right? So then we broke, we tapped into this one, so this is eliminated. Your eyes should be automatically drawn to these as the next target. These are eliminated, right? This haven't been eliminated yet, so that's what we're waiting on, right? Everybody follow me so far?
Okay. I see you going over the chart, but it's not areas of, it's like one areas. Is that what I'm saying? Like the earth that you were just notating, it was like the empty space. Like, you're talking about the vertical lines or the candle.
Can you see my chart at all? Can you see the candles up?
Yeah, we can see the chart.
Yeah, I can see.
But where you were pointing, I think what he's saying, where you were pointing at, it was just like, it wasn't at a candle, it was at...
Okay, so I was using my EpiPens. Okay, okay, so let me, I was using an EpiPen, so I wasn't sure if that, so basically what I'm saying is, I'm just going to use this. So we coming down, right? Can you see this line?
Yes.
Yep.
Can you see the circle right here?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we
Yes.
see the circle.
Okay, all right. So this is a supply that started it, right? So automatically, if supply is seeking demand, you'll be drawn to here, right? So this is how you know the top was in, they broke the immediate. Once this is broken and supply takes over, you start looking for lower targets because supply is going to seek demand. That's just how the market works. You know, if every buyer has to be a seller, and if there's not to say more than the other, but you got more contracts waiting to be filled at one spot. So basically, if this is taken out and supply is demand, you start looking where the other demands are, which is this would be the other level, which, as you can see, it's taken out, right?
I'm physically, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so now the next level. So now what took this out would be this supply right here, right? So now you start looking for the next demand, which would be here, right? which as you can see,
Right.
that's now also taken up,
Right.
right? By this supply again, right? So now your eyes should be automatically drawn to this, right? It is what it is. There's no guesswork to it, right?
Right.
So this is where I'm expecting price to get to eventually. Now this is obviously a longer term um, projection, right? But that's how I look at the market. So I need to know where I'm at as far as who's in control. When should I be buying? When should I be selling? Right. So no, I could skip over the weekly. I could just go to the daily chart. When it comes to the daily chart, now I was explaining to I think Fi, but he's not here. Whenever a lot of people get caught up in time frame and what time you're using the chart, I really don't have to use anything below 4 hour. However, I could go to a 1 hour, I could go to a 5 minute. It doesn't really matter because the price is set, as far as destination and targets. Just like I gave that price yesterday, I didn't really need to drill to a 1 minute or none of that stuff because the price is the price, right? And that's where I expected stuff to happen. Now, not because I expected mean it's gonna happen, but I'm just using what seems to be what the algos are doing. Because I'm saying, when I approached the market when I didn't really know much, I kept trying to figure out all the other stuff where I'm using all these indicators, I'm trying to predict, but basically everything is on the chart. Like I come to find out, like everything is on the chart. It's already done what it's gonna do, and you just need to follow it. So basically, I don't really use per se time frame. I use the session, meaning that I use what happened within a time period. What I mean by that, for example, as you can see, I have my quarterly rollover lines, right? Which is for the futures contracts, right? The quarterly rollover. So, for example, this is what happens in this quarter, right? So it made a high here, made a low around here, right? That's what happened. That's a fact. Nobody could change it, right? And it's almost like the same thing like Strat, basically. That's why I kind of followed you guys, because I was like, okay, let me learn something new because I'm always trying to learn. But whenever for a time period, because for me, time is specific. If you're talking about time, it's like 1 o'clock is 1 o'clock. There's no in between, right? But a time period, it's what the market did for me. So once I get like a period, and I use this on a daily, 4 hours, whatever time frame that I'm on, then I see what the period did. And then I'll project it, right? So I'll duplicate this move. And it's like the price made this move during that period, during that quarter. This only could do a few things. It could go to give me the same move down, right? Or the same move up, right? Or it could just play in the middle, right? That's as much as price could do. Am I wrong or right? That's kind of how it moves, right? Now, if price gave me a high throughout this period, right? This is the high. Nobody could dispute that. Let me fix it. Nobody could dispute that. That's the high. And nobody could dispute that. This is a low. Alright. Now where do we go from here? If price broke down below the low, right? There's other factors here why this came back in. But say you didn't know that, right? Your supply and demand. I'm gonna move this circle, this one right from here. Say price came down, started a new quarter, right? It came below this one and then popped back in, right? Now, as a supply and demand trader, there's certain stuff that I'm looking for. I'm already in a downtrend, so I'm looking for supplies to be in control, right? So it's like the way I approach the market. Like I said, I project each move, and then I started like almost like anticipating where everyone else is doing and match it up with what has been done. And what I mean by that is okay, so this is what we did for the full quarter, right? So I'm taking consideration the folks are going to use support and resistant, right? So if you're using support and resistant, you're going to have a line probably somewhere around here, right? Right? Folks are going to say that's a support no broken and turned into resistant, basically. So I'm looking out for those people, right? I'm also looking out for, okay, if price made a big swing here, what would be the average price? What would be the average price? Because I could see where the average price is, which is usually price moves in a I can't use the EpiPen, I can't show you, but anyway, this little move in here tells you where price got balanced and then got rejected, right? So now I'm gonna say, okay, let's find the average price. So I'm gonna fib that whole move, right? I don't want to confuse it with the lines, but this is the purple line is my 50%. The yellow line it's my 61.8, and let me take the 78.6 off. Oh, right. So now I'm looking at that. So I'm looking at someone who's going to use a support resistant, someone who's going to use a fib, and then me as a supply and demand trader, I'm looking for what supply took out these lows, right? And I could see it right here, right? We got one right here, right? And the other one right here, right? And in between, it's a gap. Now let me clean this up some, and then we get back to that. Let me clean this up some, and I probably should have started with this. A lot of time, people read about supply and demand, and I'm not sure, because I know Kiki was asking some questions. It's some folks identify it differently. Someone will tell you, it's a drop base drop and then drop. For me, I'm looking out for a few things. I treat supply and demand in 3 stages, right? So I'm going to remove this for a little bit too. So here, right, you got a low, and this was the high, right? We did what's called a drop, base, drop, base, drop, right? Which move right here took out this low? You could argue that it's this, right? So then you project it, right? However, this is also a supply zone right here. So in my head, this is how I look at supply zone. There's always a creation, then a confirmation, then the move. So basically, if you look here, this is the creation, right? Pulling back into it and then breaking a new low is the confirmation. Now, there's times where you have to wait for price to get back to the confirmation, or where price has to get back to the creation. Did everybody get that? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yep, I do.
Okay. So, in this case, we have creation, confirmation, then drop. Then we balanced and drop. Now, the reason why I wouldn't use this level right here is because there's too much transaction being traded here. So for me, this is a average price, and this is where support and resistance traders are. And this is how they get caught up, because you're trading support and resistance, right? I don't need that, because price has already told me right here, there's some agreement here in prices between buyers and sellers. As a supply and demand trader, you don't want to trade where there's agreement. You want to trade where there's just displacement, disagreement, we're not taking that price, we out of here. That's where you want to trade, because that's where you get the biggest move. You do not want to get caught up in this. However, this is just as important, because this means agreement, this means average price. So there's an average price, there's order sitting there, and then when average price acts as a support and resistance. What I mean by that, if I take the average price that they agreed to here for the moment, from this and this, and I fib it, I'll get a better support and resistance right here. Right? So now I could even project this. So say I missed this move when it first went into supply. Once we broke down average price, I don't need any other confirmation to tell me, because if you had an average price and we had an agreement and you broke the agreement, we no longer have an agreement, right? That's it. So I could take it from here. I could, if I miss this sell coming out of supply, if I want a good confirmation, I wait for price to get back below average price. Now, again, I could use other factors. I could fib it, right? Actually be from this high, right? And I get 50% again, and then that's my projection. Okay, so that's one thing. Now, whenever price is getting to a supply or our demand zone, there are certain factors that you want to see. For example, what happened here, right? And there's a reason why this pulled back, because we made this big run out of supply, which we haven't tested. So this has to be tested, right? So this right here, once we broke below this quarter, this more likely is a demand zone, right? And I could tell without even looking back. Whenever you get to a demand, it's the opposite. People tend to wait for a big candle coming out of demand. No. When you get into a demand, you're waiting for a big opposite candle, meaning you're looking for a big red candle to come into demand, then that big red candle to get taken out. That's how you confirm a demand. You're always going to have a deep drive into demand, then it's taken out. Usually it's engulfed. Like we're in the daily chart, if we circle this here and go to the weekly, and let's see what demand that we tapped into. Let's extend this to the left and go to the week. Because that's the only way that popped up, right? So we're right here. Can you guys see it?
Yep. I immediately look to the left. Yep, I see it.
I said you want to see a big candle coming in and then we engulf it. That's how you know it's confirmed. So that's your creation, right? You could drill to a lower time frame, which I don't have to, but I'm just showing you guys the lower time frame. So basically what happens, and I'm going to clear the chart so you can see. So this is where we were, right? We came in to demand. We took out the supply that came into demand, this move right here, right? So now that's the creation. This now becomes your confirmation when you have this move, because basically you have the same move twice. You have this coming out, so creation here, confirmation here, continuation, right? Now once you start the continuation, don't lose sight of where you're supposed to be going to the fresh supply zone that's within here. Everybody following me? So this is this is for a longer term trend, right? And then you could use other stuff as far as you're using your supply overhead, and you're using your fibs to help get the price. See the top right into the 68% right here. Okay. Again, these are longer term projection, but it's the same thing I'm doing on the smaller time frame. So that's one way of doing it. Now you asked me a question of what happened yesterday with that price, and I'm going to show you now. So like I said, I treat everything is that a time specific, or I'm treating it as a session. So if you look, we came up here, right? So now I'm gonna do it for a let me go into the daily chart. It'll be easier for you guys to see. Now this was the prior quarter, right? Prior quarter, right? In this prior quarter, we have a few, we broke down, so therefore we're still in the downtrend, right? So now all I'm going to do is project my supply zones that are coming out of there. That one right there, one right here, right? That's about it. We got another one which is up here, but I'm not even going to get into that right now, right? Okay, and if we start projecting this move, that's the 50. The 50 is holding right below, okay? I'm going to take everything else off, right? Also, I know everyone, which everyone by now should heard about the ICT and the whole gap situation, right? Fair value gap, everybody knows about that?
I think most of us do know about it. Yep.
Okay. Well, I don't really call it fair value gap. I call it something else. Like I said, I've been doing this for a while. So for me, this is just a gap, and I'm going to take this off.
It kind of honestly looks like what you're doing. Like when you're drawing these zones, it kind of is like, it looks like fair value gaps. Like I kind of see how it works together. Or
So for me, I don't call it fair value gap because I've been doing this for a while. Where for me, it's just a gap. And to be honest, I really don't need the candlesticks to tell me that. And I'm going to give you a little trick here that I've not shown anyone. So if I see it somewhere else, I know it's one of you guys stole somebody, right? Because nobody ever talks about this. Okay, you switch to a line chart, right? And I'm going to take everything off. What is a gap without seeing a gap? Okay, I'm going to show you a perfect gap. This right here is a gap. Right? This is why it got rejected, because it's a gap. Now if I go down for a 4 hour, and I'm going to show you a little bit cleaner because you might not be able to see it. Right? Whenever you have this big move without price giving you an up and down within, all right, let me show you a better one because I don't want to give you guys something hard to see. This right here is a gap between here and here. This is why price cut through the whole thing because there's nothing here to stop it. That's a gap. Do you guys follow that?
Yep.
Let me show you another one. This is a gap. This is why price can move through it so hard until it gets to the other hand. So all right, let's pay attention to this right here. Between here and here. Right? That's a gap. Now there's a reason why this got rejected. And you'll see once I switch back to the candles. See? That's a gap, right? And basically what you're looking for, it's where, and this almost like the same thing like a fair value gap, but this is just more pinpoint because that's the, if you're using a line chart, there's no in between. That's exactly where price stopped, right? So my next level probably starting off tomorrow, price will eventually get right here. Point blank period. Right? Now the reason why I mentioned yesterday about the exact price I gave you is because I'm looking, we were here working as far as that goes, but I'm looking to see what happened. It's a new month, right? And I'm looking for the prior month. So I'm looking from November, right? So November, right? We ended right here. So this is the November high, right? Let me just use regular lines because it's probably hard to see. And I'm going to take this off. So this is the November high. And where did we start? And this is the November low. However, November low, the start and the very first candle, which is time. And this is what I mean, that if you're saying time, you need to use a specific time. So the 1st of November, that's the low. That's the close. And let's change different colors. Right? And normally I have the open and the high at the first candle too, which you'll see all of that, because what happened is the month is already projected out. All this stuff, all this other stuff is just emotions, right? All this other stuff is just to get sellers in the market. So if November open, I'm sorry, right here, this candle. This is a November open, right? This is what basically dictates everything, because we open here, and basically what happens is if December is gonna move up or down, we have to take out where November started, period. So yesterday when I mentioned 12, and this is the price you're talking about, 11,288. That was it. So if we took this out, we'd be going lower, which eventually we take it out, but I didn't expect to take it out yesterday, because again, if you look closely, what did I say as far as coming into demand? What will happen? You'll have a big candle coming in, and also there's different levels to demand, like where move started, like this big up move where it had a break. This is just the same as base rally. See the basing right here? You project that over. So now I'm looking for whenever price gets there, I'm looking for a big red candle to come in and a big green candle to come out. Where do we have it? We want to see that engulf. So creation, pull back confirmation, go. No, it makes sense?
Yes, that really does. It definitely does. And I see how it lines up with how I already use TA. I love it.
Yeah, so a lot of people, you guys use the what's it called, TT them out or TT them out? I forgot what it's called.
Yeah, and like for instance, when you were talking about how the month open, we would use that when we're thinking about time frame continuity. So the month open is an important level as well. So I understand that it really lines up.
Yeah, so this month opens with the demand. So November open lines up with the eventual gap up, right? Which would be the rally base rally right in here. You see it? So I basically put both of them together and say, hey, we need to hold this. And the reason why I kind of knew that it would hold is because when we came in here, you could see some of the demand got sucked up, right? But the demand was strong enough here to basically run most of the contracts from this supply. You understand? This is the supply that caused the drop, right? And it ran back up. See this big candle coming out? Okay, so supply got eaten up, and we came back into demand, and we engulfed the buyers. So creation, confirmation, we went. So now I'm looking for, okay, and again, if you look here, this is the gap. You might not see it, right? But like I said, if you go to the line chart, you'll see where price is at Dina range right here. Now you might not see it here up top. You could use this, but there it is up top. You just have to go to a lower time frame to see it. right? So right here, and you could use the last low that was created right here, and this is a gap. All this is just a big gap, right? But then when you switch over to the candle chart, you could use the wicks, right? Now, the reason why we came from, so let me remove this and remove this. The reason why we shot up here and got rejected is, for one, we got supply right here, right? So we dropped, base dropped, right, into demand, which we went back up to. So this would have been my first target, which I said, I could sell again, but I'm not going to. So this is the move, right? So now what you could do, where we go from here, is that was on Friday, right? We could do the same thing. We could do the same thing as far as taking this whole move. I don't want it to go too far. This whole move, and it's the same thing. We could duplicate this move, either to go up, either to go down. Those are automatically your targets, right? Now for me, I could just look for where the closest supply demand is, below and above, and project my next move, right? So I could either do this, and if you can see the fib is on here, so my next move on here would be 11,227. If the move gets extended, if this blue line, if it's not a demand zone, which I could verify on the daily chart, see, it will be a demand zone. So if I extend it, basically Nasdaq should get down to 11,142. But basically we'll be hunting this demand right here, right? And that would be, so let me clear the chart off so that way you can see it. So this demand right here, that will be my next target on the downside. Also, if you're looking for a rally for Christmas, it still could happen, because then if you project this demand, there are still fresh zones over here. So this would be the next supply that needs to be tapped into. And if you project this entire move, right? If you take, I'm not even going to take the wick, but if you project this move and duplicate it, you'll get something like that, right? You can still get a rally coming up to all these supplies that are sitting up here, right, before you continue. But for now, we'll just take what we get, which is right here. So price is sitting right there. We could get this move coming up back to 12.5, or to the very top at 12.928. And that's basically just all I do. I'm just mapping the chart to see where the closest supply and demand is, and if we break the closest one, just where the other one is. That's just all I do all day. I try not to complicate it. It's the same thing for ES. I know you were saying something when I bought oil. It's the same thing for oil. I'm coming out of oil, sitting in a quarterly demand right here. Right? That's the reason you heard me say I was buying oil. So even though we tapped into it, we're breaking down, I could still buy, because then we should be running into a monthly or a weekly demand zone, which you can see right here. It's not coincidence. It's just, I'm just mapping the chart, right? And whenever I find a bigger zone and like a higher time frame, I keep drilling down and down until I get a better entry. So basically, we went into the daily demand here, which is a weekly, and if you can see, we got the creation right here, right? Then it popped up, confirming the move. So all I did was just wait for the same thing to happen over here. We came down, All right. So let me remove this. We came down into demand. So I'm looking for the creation now, right? And all I do is adjust to a 1 hour chart. So I'm drilling down in the time frame for my entry. Right. So creation, big red candle coming into demand, engulfed by a green candle. That's my confirmation. Wait for price to get back here. Set my stops below here. And I'm waiting for the pop-up. And I've been holding buys ever since. Now, I've mentioned also that I was waiting for price to get to 77 point, what was it, 77.50? Was it that? You remember? I basically put everything out. Do you remember that price?
Yeah, I remember that one. I thought it was 77.30.
It was 77.30 and 77.8 something. Anyway.
Okay.
This is it.
Surprised I remember.
And it's no guesswork. All I did was get to my 4 hour, see where the closest supply was, and tapped into it. That's all I'm doing. And then it seems like magic. So 77.35, 77.8. That's it. We got there. Once we got there, what am I expecting? I'm expecting for supply to come in. And I remember saying that they shorted me because it came up short and didn't take my profit, so I'm gonna sell it. Why would I sell oil when it's been riding up all this time? Because it went into supply, big red candle, big green candle now in supply. So this becomes my point of control, right? Big green candle into supply, and I'm waiting for it to be engulfed. So big green candle into supply, we engulfed it on the next move, right? Breaking my point of control. See this big move down, breaking. It's like this is the leg that the market is standing on. We get into it, we broke it. All I did was just wait for the retracement back into. So it's a creation. Let me remove it. Creation, confirmation, trade. That's basically how I do stuff. All right, this is my trade, and that's it. I just write it down to the next level of demand, which it's not this. I'm just looking for where the move started, which is this right here, right? Big engulfing red candle being engulfed. This is my demand right here, and that's just basically it, right? It's between these levels, and all I do is just drill down for my entry if I want to go to a 5 minutes or whatever, but I really don't have to because it's all lined up within an initial price. And that's about it. I don't know if anyone got any questions, but...
Yes, does anybody have any questions? Yeah, I know he's been trying to do this for a while, so while y'all got him here, it's best to get your questions out. I can not record that part if that's stopping you. And you can also put them in the study time chat.
Yeah, you could leave, that's fine. I mean, there's other stuff, but, I was trying to make it as simple as I can. I'm not no teacher or anything. I just know what I'm looking for in a chart, which I don't need, try not to make it complicated.
I think it was a great explanation. I understand how you find it, and as you were going, I was starting to see it as you were doing it. So, okay. I know that's me, so that's why I'm opening it up to the community. If anybody's confused,
chart that you guys just mentioned, I mean, it's gonna come down. That PG, it's coming down, so you probably could quote me on something here. But I'm seeing something on PG. So it's the same thing in PG. You see, you got the creation, confirmation, down, right? It's right there. I mean, if anybody got any questions, you could still So we got one right here. This is your weekly supply, and we got daily supply sitting right below it, which would be right here. That's where it just tapped into, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you got a supply and top of supply, and that's what we tap into and it start to go down. So the 4-hour chart should be in a downtrend. Yeah, and then you use trend just the same. Then you use structure. We got a up move, down move. So we just broke trend right here.
Mm-hmm.
We took out this low.
I even see the breaker structure. Yep.
Right. So now you say the daily supply is here, but what really broke trend? You could say here, this gap is considered supply also, and then this rejection candle is also supply. So now you could just simply, if you want to fib the whole move, right? If price gets back anywhere here, you sell, and then you could project your sell to 148. That's basically where it's going, because then it's going to hunt for these lows right here. Mm-hmm. And break that structure. And this is nothing. Remember, these right here, this is price and agreement, right? This average price. So the extreme would be right here. So your closest demand, I'm just going to take the whole candle, is right here. So eventually, you're looking to about 146. And if I project the extension of the fib, we should get right on top of demand. See? Yep. So that's what I see happening on a longer time frame in PG.
Okay.
And that's how simple I keep it. It takes me 5 minutes to do my chart.
To do that, that's awesome. I mean, now you said a longer time frame. That makes sense because when Jamal mentioned it, it's a PMG on the weekly, so it makes sense that it would take some weeks to take out those lows. So
yeah, because we just took out this low, so I'm looking for this average price here to try to bring price back up into supply.
Yeah.
So then I'll start looking for supplies above. Just start marking them off. You got a 1 hour supply right here. See, we got a rise, a base rise, and then we took it out here. So you got one right here, and the other one right here. And that's just on a 1 hour chart. So if price gets anywhere here, you see if it gives you that big red candle, then that big red candle is taken out for the drive down again.
Gotcha.
And that's just it. So basically, if I'm doing this, I'm doing leaves or a couple months out, I could start buying puts. The higher this push up, I'll be buying puts. The same thing I did on Tesla. It's the same. It's the same thing over and over that I do. It's nothing complicated. It's, as you can see where Tesla is going. And that's why I keep saying 146, 147, somewhere up there. Because, I mean, that's where it's going. I mean, there's nothing complicated about it. It did all this just to get back here. You know?
You can, Adobe, can you do this on Adobe when you finish with Tesla?
What's the ticker again?
Adobe, ADBE, action, data, follow, excitement.
So this is where we're at. So now because we got so much different zones here of transaction, I'll go to a higher time frame just to see which one have been really tapped into. So I'm on the quarterly. So if you look at the quarter, we are sitting right into demand right here and right here, right? We're sitting there on top of it. So that's why we're getting this big push out. Now, can we drill more into it? Yeah. So then that's when you start looking, because we need to see this big red candle being taken out, right? It comes into demand. It dries into demand. So we need to see, what you need to see is this pop. We need to look down here if there's a demand that's formed within demand, right? You start drilling down. So here, so now we got a demand that's created on the weekly. So this right here. So if you need to see price stay above this. So you might get a move that goes this, down, and then this. So this would be your next target, right? Then you need to see a following demand build here that's going to give you a move like this, or even we could come all the way back here too for this move, because then this is where your other supply is, and that's how you'll break the uptrend. Now, if we can't break, keep in mind that we still have more demand here below. So if we take out this low and do something like this, then this demand that sits here in the weekend becomes supply, right? And you do something like that,
And then
right? And if you're using fibs, it projects where this price want to go. See, completed here. So now you project where this price want to go. See, completed there. So everything matches up. You shouldn't be questioning where the chart is going, because supply and demand basically show you the map. The fibs basically the supply and demand is like, how should I put it now? It basically gives you the overview of the direction, and then I use my fibs to confirm. It's almost like a GPS saying recalculated. So we need to get to 50% or somewhere down here, find a new demand, go higher, and vice versa. The supply is telling me the same thing, because we're sitting at 61.8. If this bottom breaks, you could pretty much guarantee we're getting down to $247. And if it's an extensive break, if the market is just falling apart, then you're gonna get lower to right here at the bottom of the demand, which is $200. And that's just it. That's where I would buy. Right? Yeah, so that's so simple. I keep it.
Thank you.
Alright.
yes, thank you.
So if anybody got any question, now's the time. I know it's a lot. It might seem a lot, but it's really just quite. It's just not me interjecting anything, my personal belief or thoughts on the chart. I'm just looking at where the chart has been and where it haven't been, and the direction in which it's heading. That's just it. So I don't use anything else. I got an awesome oscillator on there just to tell me when there's momentum being slowed. Example, when it pops up to a supply, or a demand, I could see where this comes down and there's no more downside momentum, so I'm expecting to pop up.
I have a question. So people here had a dope damage detection.
I'm not hearing you clearly.
If we looking at Adobe, as far as how you setting your supply and demand zones, are you using a range of candles? I saw in the last one you just used the high and the low of that.
I'm not even using that. I don't even. That's what it does. If I wanted to get real pinpoint of what just really drilling down. But realistically, I don't need to, because we're already sitting right at the quarterly demand, so there's not much for me to drill into. So you just don't want to see this level go. Like I said, 200, 199, because if they go to 200, they're just going to take everyone out at 200, because everyone expect to be buying the 200. Just like the same thing that they did on Tesla. They're just going to take everyone out because that's not the true price, right? So, I don't need to project it, but I can, because just like Tesla right here, this move was already projected from this move. So if we took this to this, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
It's already projected, right? So I don't have to do it. I'm just mapping the candles. So from this swing, when was it? No, it's higher time frame. So that's the first swing, right? And this is the second one, which we basically at right now. So if Tesla wants to go, because then I could also this would be the average price, and I could just you're talking about this. I could duplicate that, right? It's the same thing. I'm still within demand right here, right? So that's why I just want to pinpoint stuff, which I don't have to right now because they're already sitting at a certain level. But everything's all calculated. That's why I posted that video that time where eventually trying to get to somewhere, but everybody get, as we say, caught up in the middle. You know, but that's the purpose of that video that I post in case anyone was wondering like what the heck that has to do with trading. It's just basically that we're trying to get to, say for Tesla, we're trying to get to 146. But we had to do all this other extra stuff in between, especially if you're in a 4-hour chart, or you know, you got to go through all of that. But really and truly, it's already projected where it wants to go. You just have to know how to play to get there, right? So it's just basically it. Right? So that's it.
Oh, that's interesting.
And
So you just set those zones right there. What are you using? I guess to what are you seeing right there? So like I see you on the
this supply broke this low. 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 So if prices gonna go up, we need to go up here, do that. If we decide to start uptrend, we need to get above here because you know this is a supply. So we need to see this, and then once this pulls back, automatically this will be my next supply zone up here.
So basically, when you're finding the zones, you're looking to the left to look to see what price is doing in that area and drawing a supply from there.
Yes, because this move created the supply that broke this low.
Gotcha.
We pull back to it. This move up here broke this low and this low. But these are intermediate. It didn't just cut through it. So it came here, pause, drop. So this becomes a supply also. If you notice, so this is what you call a fresh supply. This is what you call a used supply. Because we created, confirm, drop, then tapped into it again, drop.
And that one above it hasn't been tapped basically. Yes.
Right here. That's right. Mm-hmm. Yep. So once price gets up here, you can best believe that your boy will be looking for creation, confirmation, back to here.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just that simple. I don't really complicate it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now if we do this, right? What do I have to do? I just have to adjust my chart, bring it over. Oh, here we go.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And that's it. It is literally the same thing that ES just did on the daily chart. It's the same. It's just the same thing happens over and over. It's right here. So this is a creation. This is a confirmation. Look at this.
Oh, yes.
This is your fresh zone that haven't been tapped yet. You can take the whole candle.
That's that.
So now,
see what the gap is.
so no, huh?
Well, there's a gap up there, so it's interesting.
Yeah. So I'm glad you see that because then if I do the same thing, you see that on a line chart.
Yes. Yep. I see it.
And if you really want to see it, what happens, why the downtrend started back in March, then tell me when you see it.
Yes, I see that.
You see this?
The hard move. Yep.
Do you see this?
Yep. So we still, and then there's another one.
Yep. See this? That we came right into.
Yes, I saw it.
Then now if we're going down, do you see this? You got one right here. And the one that we're sitting in right here between here and here. So now is your target right here. And there's the target right here. And if we move over to a weekly chart, then if we come all the way down, then here's the gap right here. And what did this do right here? Why do you think price went up there? You tap right into it.
Wow.
That's just it. I'm not controlling the chart. The chart is just telling me what to do. So my next move is we already tapped into here. The next time price gets here, my next zone is right here. And then that would bring us back to COVID highs, which makes sense. And that's it. And then if I do the whole thing and figure when the market might bottom, I'll just fib it. And this low gives me a 61.8% of the whole from 2020, from 2000, from 2020. Coming back here. So now the 50% matches up. That's what we got the pop up to. The 61 point here is right here. So now if price, once we get to any level of here, your next market run will get all the way back to 5,500. So now we'll have something that looks like this.
Beautiful.
That's it. So I think that's enough information for now.
Yes, I think that we're all gonna need to be doing some homework and practicing and journaling.
Yeah, so that's why you see my chart is clean, because that's how I trade. Actually, nothing else.
Yeah.
Realistically, I don't even need a candle.
Very true.
But
You're the first person I've seen show anything on a line like that, and that it clicked. I really did.
yeah,
Can you look at AMD really quickly for me, please? The reason I'm asking is because it's doing an outside month, right? So I'm wondering how you would possibly trade this once you saw it tap into that supply above, and then, I mean, that's how you would do it? Like, when is that? 11:14 to 11 to 12:05?
yeah. So right here, I got this is my supply zone. I mean, if you can see, I'm on a Heikin chart. I just switched my chart over back. But that's the supply zone.
Yes,
Let
I
me
did see it.
add some markup here.
So, okay, I'm trying to look and see if I can identify.
I think someone asked me something on this chart.
Because I see where
before.
you TTO right there, but I'm trying to look at how that would, if I look to the left.
So basically, we tapped into a demand down here. Let me switch back to a regular chart so that way you can see. So I'm gonna clean my chart off. It's fine. All right. Let's start with a quarter. Okay, so now I know exactly where we are in this. So we're here. 1, 2. I'm gonna have to adjust this because this is a quarter chart and it's a big indecision candle. So let's go. Let's go to the month. Okay, now I see it clearly. Okay. So now I'm gonna remove this. This is your first demand, the stronger demand. We haven't got to it yet, right? However, that's the quarter demand. We're sitting on a monthly demand. Can you see that? I'm gonna change this line to blue, so you could separate. So we're sitting right above. We came right down to like a quarter demand, right here. Well, a monthly demand. I'm sorry. All right. Let's go to the week and see what happens.
I really like how you do this top down, by the way.
So now this supply is in control from the weekly, right? So this is a weekly, and the reason why I use different colors for my stuff is that way I just by looking at my chart, I know it's a weekly zone. And what's going to happen is I'm going to have to drill to the daily just to tighten my entries up. All right, so now I'm going to go to a daily So we kind of tapped into the weekly, but not necessarily. If you see right here, the reason why we got an up move, we came in here. See this drop base, routed here. So we're reacting off this particular zone, right? So I'm gonna put this a little bit green. So we're sitting on like strong demand for AMD. Cause we got a whole bunch of demands that's like on top of each other. That might be too bright. Okay. So now that's where we're sitting, right? Now if this, I could kind of see where we're going from here, but if the AMD is gonna go lower, I'm gonna project. So if AMD goes any lower, we'd be right at $48. Well, $47, right? And let's see how we get there. So now we have actually broken structure on the daily, right? We have this move. We came down, made this low, right? This is the low, right? We popped up again. So this is your creation, confirmation, follow through, right? So now we created a new low here, right? And now we trying to use this supply right here for the continuation. So then you'll fib this. You get your 61.8 coming out. Your next zone is we just completed that. If you see right on point, I'm not making it up. I'm just doing. And the reason why it's right on point is because you're sitting at the gap at the daily, which is acting as demand, right? So now we need to see something like this coming back up, which you'd have to drill to your 4 hour to see if you find a supply zone there, which we have one right here. One right here. Alright? And we need to get through that. So if we're going to go down, then we need to do this leg down, which will bring us into 5061.8 again, and then that will bring us to the bottom of that demand zone on the daily, which is $62, right? Everybody follow me? So that will give you a move that looks like this. That makes sense?
Oop.
Hello?
I pressed the wrong button, my bad. But yes, it does. It actually does make sense.
Okay, so now we have to see what happens when price gets down here. But for now, we have button structure on the daily coming back down on the 4 hour. So I'm expecting that we get some form of move trying to come back to these supplies. Even this one could hold because this is the. I wouldn't really use it. I would probably use this, but I look for an up move. Probably try to fill the gap and then another drive down. Because we might be sitting on another level, which we are at the demand. And I don't think this is really. I think we need to drive a little bit lower. Because if I measure this out, yeah, we're right here too. So this 78.6 needs to hold. Otherwise, we're just gonna break through. But I'm expecting a bigger pullback coming out. We did pop out of that zone. Did we get any confirmation yet? Not really. Well, yeah, we engulfed this candle. So we need to see a pullback now. Coming back over here to use this zone now as a creation of demand on the 1 hour time frame. So we need to see something like this. Then we'll be attacking this supply on the 1 hour time frame. So between here, and I'm going to use the whole week, which I don't really like, but basically that's where you're trying to get into. And you can see his average price over here. So yeah. So you might get an up move before you get a continuation down. Which you need. because you need that supply zone to um, drill price deeper because you're sitting on a lot of demand on top of demand. Yep.
It makes so much sense. It really aligns a lot with like TTOs. When you're coming up into supply, it's kind of how we look at TTOs, you know. And then once the supply is hit, they're out, and then it goes back in the direction of the trend. So yeah, it makes a whole lot of sense.
It's just I use the same moves to map it to get a pinpoint direction, like pinpoint price, and then I'm using other factors where I guess it's not really other factors, but for the open close, and then I'm using the period to as far as how long did it trend there. For it, just the same thing here. How long did this price take to do that, and then I just duplicate that, and that's basically it. I'm getting down to see where the price is going. Yep. But that's it. I hope it helped. I don't know.
It definitely.
I like it. Well, I'm gonna internalize this. I gotta internalize everything you said and then apply it and then see how it works and go.
And I saw your chart, Kiki. I see you using your fibs. I just say there's something missing from your fib that would make you much better. Like try to look into your projections on a fib, and then that would just give you the comfort into holding your trades a little bit longer. That would basically, let you know, okay, I could stay in this for a while. When you're feeling it out, because you're using the fibs kind of for entry only, it seems like. But if you really look into it, it tells you exactly where price is going if you know what you're doing. My blue line is always my target. And if you see it, wherever I fib, that's where the price is going. Off my supply zone or demand zone. So I'll enter here, and I'll hold this bad boy until it gets somewhere down here.
Okay.
So, yeah, you can internalize it and let me know what you think. Okay?
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for sharing. We appreciate that. For real.
I didn't hear you were breaking up.
Oh, I was saying thank you so much for sharing and taking the time.
Oh, no problem.
Show us.
As Bitcoin to 9,800. Just so you know, just start buying there.
Hey, y'all heard it first.
Yeah, I got a lot of heat when I told people where Bitcoin was going to 65,000. I got a lot of heat, but hey, it is what it is, eh?
Just wait, and then you're like, okay, yeah. So
Yeah, I'm like, okay, it's setting up. That's what it's doing. And sure enough, when the tables come tumbling down, it is what it is. But yeah, Bitcoin, you can see it right here. Don't let nobody tell you otherwise. Right there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I see it.
Right there. That's where that baby coming. And just like how we projected it up, we projected it down. Alright, so this is a top from here. You project it. So the one level here that got completed, other level got completed. Look at that. Anyway. Alright, guys, have a great weekend. And thanks for having me.
Yes, everybody have a great weekend.
Alright. Oh, that helps.
It did. It helped so much. I'll talk to you
Alright,
later.
no problem.
Bye, y'all.
Bye-bye.